Hey, I've been wanting to make a really quick video on some of my favorite watercolor supplies and tools. It's one of the most commonly asked questions. What kind of watercolor should I buy? What kind of brush should I use? So I just thought I'd make a brief video and share with you some of my tried and tested favorites that I just always have when I create. And you can give them a try and see if they work for you, but I know that it helps to have somebody who's actually given them a try. So I'm going to show you what my favorites are and why. Let's talk about watercolor paper. Watercolor paper is an absolute must. No other paper will do. This type of paper is meant to let the water sit on top so that it doesn't soak through. The paper that I used quite frequently when I use paper is Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press. I like cold press because it's actually a bit grainier and it actually lets a little bit more texture happen throughout the painting, as opposed to hot press that is just a smoother, it's going to just give you a different look. Also, some of you might want to try Aquaboard by Ampersand. This is meant to mimic watercolor paper, but it's actually a clay surface that you can scratch out small details into. As far as types of watercolors, there are three main types of watercolors. We have tube paints, liquid watercolors, and pan paints. And if you just want to get started with a set of watercolors and just get it over with, this one I really recommend. I'll link everything below so you don't have to stop the video. This one is a Vibrant Color set by Van Gogh. I think it's a really good brand. And I used to use these quite a bit more. They also have tube paints, but this is a nice just get ready to go. It even has little wells here so that you can mix colors. As far as tube paints go, I love Daniel Smith Extra Fine Watercolors. You'll just have to be sure that the ones that you pick out are light fast, because like this Opera Pink is not considered light fast and can fade over time. I still like to use it, but just something to be aware of. And then liquid watercolors are super concentrated, but you can also add more water to make them lighter. These are Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus. These are considered light fast, and I really like using them. My very favorite brushes are by Winsor & Newton. These are Series 7, and these are a natural sable hair brush, which means that these are actual hairs, they're not synthetic. I really love them because of the very, very fine point. I use round brush for everything. I use usually in all of my paintings two size round brushes. A size 1, and I also have a size 4 here for larger areas. Now, despite being able to cover a lot of area with these round brushes, they also go into a nice fine tip to get extra fine detail, which is important in my paintings. A few more of my favorite tools. When I use the Aquaboard, I use an X-Acto knife to make details and fine white highlights and scratch it right in the surface. I use a silicone straw. I've been using the same exact one for like 3 years for blowing lots of texture onto the art. And then finally, when I work on paper, if I want to cover up a mistake or make those little white highlights, I use this Uniball Signo gel pen, white gel pen. Super helpful when you want to add details in at the end of your painting. Also, Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I never make a painting without this. If I want to add highlights at the end, you know, with watercolor, it's almost like you work in reverse. You have to leave the highlights at the bottom. Well, sometimes they get muddled. Sometimes I just need to add a little bit of white, and this is how I do it. Just a word of caution, though, that you can't really paint over this. This is pretty permanent. This is a last step in your painting, but I do love this stuff. So I don't use this for all my paintings, but for an easy way to transfer a photo of your dog onto your canvas, this wax-free paper by Serral is awesome. You can actually trace right onto your canvas, and it's wax-free, meaning that it's not going to stay or repel the water. So you can actually erase it when you're done. I like it a lot, and I'll link it below along with everything else. So those are a few of my favorite supplies that I never go without. So please like the video and comment on it if you have a question. You can follow me on Instagram at WeekdayBest, and I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy a time lapse of one of my personal commissions for a customer, and I'll be using all the supplies that I mentioned previously.